Hey guys, Ryan Howard here. Just wanted to give you all a quick update on Rollin Bones and talk a little bit about what things are going to look like moving forward. As many of you probably saw on Twitter, Valor Studios and I have actually decided to part ways. And just to let everyone know, there's no ill will here. This was a mutual parting. They're getting a lot of traction with their actual play stuff. They're wanting to focus their content more in that direction. And the actual play audience isn't really all that interested in what I'm doing on my show. I hadn't gotten the traction over there that I was hoping for. And that's going to be driving a lot of changes moving forward. But the first one is that I'm splitting up with Valor Studios. And, like I said, there's no ill will. I'm just going independent. I'm not ruling out any future collaborations with them. If Hellgate comes back, then Clayton McTaggart will be there. But for the time being, Rollin Bones is going to be on its own again. And I'm going to be making some changes to Rollin Bones. The biggest one for right now is that I'm leaving Twitch. I'm going to do the show on YouTube Live now because Twitch hasn't really fit what I do. It's been kind of a poor fit from the beginning. I've been trying the Twitch thing for almost 2 years now, and I just don't seem to be getting traction over there. So I'm going to move everything over to YouTube Live, and hopefully I'll be able to find my audience there. Because, ultimately, there have been several of you who have been around for a while. You've supported almost since the beginning, but I want to expand. And I want more people to see what I'm doing here, and I want, to be a part of, the OSR world is really what I'm focusing on. And so to do that, I need to find a way to, broaden the audience. And I think the best way to do that right now is get off Twitch and move over to YouTube. It'll also make things easier as far as uploads go. So those of you who watch the show primarily through YouTube, this will make it so that YouTube videos are available next day. I think that'll help people kind of get to my content faster, and it'll be a lot fresher, especially if I have someone on who's got a Kickstarter campaign. So that's actually going to start on Monday. And my guest on Monday is going to be Bad Mike Battleato. So, he and I are going to have a great conversation. We just had Tankar on. That was my last episode with Valor Studios. And I'm looking forward to talking with Bad Mike on Monday. Now, the other things that I wanted to talk about are just kind of, my direction with Rollin Bones. Like I said, this show is very much fallen into the OSR category. That's where I feel like I belong right now. And I feel like my best service to the OSR community, being one of the younger people involved in it, is to help make the old school young again. J.R.R. Tolkien very famously said that the old that is strong does not wither. Old school gaming and old school fantasy are strong. Their influence is still felt, even if it's kind of diluted in what modern fantasy is. And I want to go back and explore those roots. I want to revitalize and revivify fantasy storytelling and fantasy role-playing. And I feel like now's the time to do it because we're on the verge of an extinction event for essentially the 5e era. Geek culture as a whole seems like it's about to collapse and go underground. So I think it's time for us to rediscover our edge, rediscover our creativity, and rediscover what made geek culture kind of rise to become pop culture for, this time that it's been pop culture. And as part of that, I want to make sure that young people are getting on board with the OSR. And I want to do that not by changing the OSR. Because if you change the OSR, then it's not what it needs to be. I think we just need to expose people to kind of these raw forms of old school fantasy and old school fantasy role playing. We need to, have like an anthropology type examination where we, really immerse ourselves in what these things are. And in that way, discover, what has made them endure and what's going to make them continue to endure. So that's what Rollin Bones is going to do now. My mantra now is I want to make the old school young, and that might even be my new tagline. I'll try that out for a couple weeks, and if you guys think I'm totally lost at my own ass, then we can we can change it again. But I really feel like that's what I need to be doing right now, and I hope that you guys are kind of right there with me. Rollin Bones is going to be a platform by creators for creators, and we're going to focus on, again, making fantasy culture, making old school fantasy feel new again, and bringing it to a new audience. And, using it as a foundation to build what the next phase of fantasy is going to be. Because the current phase, I really do think is going away. I think there's going to be a three-headed monster that destroys modern fantasy and kind of puts us in a dark age of fantasy. I think Lord of the Rings of Power is going to be DOA. Same thing with the new Game of Thrones series, House of the Dragon. And I think there's going to be a really tepid response from mainstream audiences to the D&D movie. And if that movie fails, like Professor Dungeon Master talked about, then the 5e era is basically over and done with. Because a major Hollywood motion picture is about as mainstream gets. So if that fails, then it's not mainstream. And some of the big players are still going to be around. Critical Role, I think, will hold on for a little bit. But a lot of the stuff that's kind of popped up around that, a lot of the imitators, those are going to go away. And we're going to have to find something new. Something more cutting edge, or something old that has been kind of lost to a lot of people that they'll rediscover. And that's what I think the OSR is going to be good at doing. And that's what I'm going to try and do with this show. So I'm going to be spotlighting creators who are creating in that realm. I'm going to be collaborating with people to make my own games, to talk about culture, talk about fantasy, talk about storytelling. And that's ultimately what's going to drive the future of Rollin Bones if I'm successful. And the last thing I want to talk about is I am going to be starting up a Patreon. I don't know what the tiers will cost. I don't know what rewards will come with them. But in order for me to continue doing this, I need to upgrade some equipment. And I need to make sure that I'm able to dedicate time to doing this. And what that means is I'm going to need compensation. The show is still going to remain free. I still want it to be there for people even if they don't want to or can't donate to a Patreon. But for those of you who are willing or able, I want that to be there because, I don't think this is ever going to be my day job, but it would help. It would certainly help make the presentation of the show better. It would help me, maybe move beyond kind of this, pre-made overlay that I've got, and get something that's a little bit more custom, a little bit more branded to myself, and it'll help me get to conventions ultimately. And that's really something that I want to focus on, is getting to conventions and being able to meet people and network face to face at a gaming table where, hey, if you enjoyed gaming with me, I've got this show Rollin Bones. I think you guys will like it. So that's the main reason why I want the Patreon, is to help drive this show forward. It's not so that, we can buy a Ferrari or, go on vacations. I want the show to be able to pay for itself at the very least. And so that's what's going to be driving the Patreon. Another way that I want to bring in revenue is I ultimately want to be designing and publishing games at some point. I've been working on that for a while, but I really want to kind of double down on that because I'm going to be talking a lot about what fantasy role playing will be moving forward, bringing the OSR influence into kind of bigger and better games. Not that the current OSR games aren't good; they're amazing, but just growing it, expanding it, making it the mainstream. That's something that I want to, kind of put my money where my mouth is and publish my own books to see if I can be successful with it. And I also want Rollin Bones merch. I've been talking for a while about wanting Rollin Bones t-shirts. I also want to make a Rollin Bones Hawaiian shirt. I've got tons of ideas for merch. And, if you guys want some, I want that to be an option for you. I want some. I think everyone, wants a t-shirt for their project or, wants something that's very specific to their work as far as like apparel goes. And so I'll be working kind of double time on setting up Rollin Bones merch. And that's really what I wanted to talk with you guys about. The show's moving over to YouTube. There's not going to be any interruption. We're starting on Monday. Monday is day one. My third day one in a row. Fourth day one in a row, if you think about it, going all the way back to when this was just an audio podcast. But we're going to reinvent this thing. And hopefully this time it'll be the one that sticks. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Definitely let me know what you think. If you're excited about this, let me know. Reach out to me. Leave a comment. And, be here Monday night at 8 p.m. Central when, Bad Mike and I kick off the new era of Rollin Bones where we're making old school young again. So until next time, whether you guys rolled a 1 or a 20, I hope you rolled your bones with me, Ryan Howard, and I'll see you all next time.